What's going on, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Building a World One Step at a Time. Last episode we talked about the basics of macros. Today we are getting into the specifics of macros and how to build a macro. So jump in and let me show you how that works. So you need to have an idea of what it is you plan to do when building a macro, obviously. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you building an attack action and some of the steps that may be taken along the way in order to get there, as well as explain the remaining steps you might use for different reasons. So the first step is going to be, of course, attack roll, because we want to roll and see if we are going to be successful. So the source is the one rolling, and we're going to go ahead and compute number. And in this case, rather than queuing it off any of our stats, let's just say it is a flat d20. In this case, we are going to type 1d20. And as it checks to make sure it's valid, we get the check mark. We know that's good. So this first step is going to add a d20 roll as the first thing it does. The next step, we're going to need to check and see if, let's just say the way your system works is on an 11 or higher, you succeed, on a 10 or lower, you fail. In this case, we are going to do check for success. And we're going to make the step type stop macro based on condition. What this step does, so the compute number step obviously computes a number. At base, it's going to give you a very basic computation, 1d20. 1d20 plus 3, 2d8 plus 7. But you can get more advanced. You could do 2d10 plus strength modifier. You could do 1d8 minus constitution. You can add any number of things. You can even add multiplication and division. Further, if you break out into the more specifics, you can add dice modifiers when doing number computations, including things like keeping highest, keeping lowest, exploding, and the like. So if your dice explode when you're running your system, this would be where you set that. You would set the dice type, you would set modifiers. You could type here and include stats that would be included in the computation, and so on. Stop macros are exactly what they sound like. You stop the macro at this step unless you fulfill a condition. So in this case, as we said, we want to make sure that this 1d20 is an 11 or more. So the condition is that we add the condition and we say for the step attack roll, we will look attack roll and you will see test one step attack roll. The result needs to be greater than or equal to 11. And so now it will check and make sure that the result of this step is 11 or more. If it is 10 or less, it will not continue back this step. It will stop the macro based on the condition. However, if it's 11 or more, it will continue. And now we'll add the step, and let's just say we're going to apply 1 point of damage automatically. Apply damage. That your system just has 1 point of damage if you succeed, otherwise it's nothing. In this case, we will apply an effect, and we are going to go ahead and add damage. And it's going to be 1 point of damage. The damage type is going to be slash damage because they happen to be using a sword, calculate based on the target in this case, and of course we will be going with, I have not set hit points in this, but when you set hit points as a stat, it will be health, it will be hit points, it will be life, it will be whatever you're specifically doing, and you will look for the current value on that stat, at which point you would save, and this would apply the damage to them, and that would be the full macro. By clicking on the player end when in the VTT, they will purely see the test one macro. When they click to use it, it will roll a d20. It will then check to make sure it's an 11 or above. If it's a 10 or below, it will stop it right there, showing them the result and nothing else. If it's an 11 or above, it will, on target enemy, deal 1 damage. And that's how you build a macro. What do the other effects do? Well, apply effects can, in addition to applying damage, it can also apply status effects. It can add bonuses. So you would click add bonus and add their stats. So let's just say we wanted to add to their, I remember Psyche was one of the particular stats. You could add a bonus of 1 point to Psyche, for instance. From there, you can also add things like dice roll effects, such as you want to make it so that the next die they roll, they add a 1 to the sum of it. You can add that. These are all things. Applied effects are done through apply effects. Simple enough. Compute number, I've already shown you. Stop macro, I've already shown you. Trigger a macro will be to re-trigger a macro in the step process if you need to. Granting an item is exactly what it sounds like. You can literally pick an item out of any item that you've created as an entity in your game and add it to someone's inventory. And literally it would just be that you would click add item. Obviously I don't have any here, but you would click it. You could have them add one. You could also have them remove one. Adding -1 items would remove one. So this would be what you would use if you needed to use something. Say your system has firearms and you need to expend ammo. You would have it grant an item and you would have it add -1 to their ammo count in order to spend that ammo for the shot. Prompt to choice gives them the ability to make a decision. Maybe you have to ask them if they want to choose option A or option B. It could also be something like, did this succeed? In case there is a more esoteric stat or it is purely a one-sided roll and you need to know from the GM whether or not the roll succeeds in order to keep going. And in this case you could ask, did this succeed? And the options will be yes, comma, no. From there, you could then do another stop macro and have it check this step to make sure it equals yes or equals no, and just make sure your capitalization is the same, and that's how you could have that be a gateway for further things. Alter a macro means you can take a step and change anything, and expand casting list is exactly what it sounds like. This would be if you need to have an ability give you access to casting new spells. Maybe your character has a transformation move in which they power up and they gain further abilities. You can give them a casting list of abilities or spells, and you can have them expand their casting list through the transformation. These are all just some very high-level overviews, but this would be how you build out all the various attacks, spells, buffs, anything else that you may need to do when working on Hedron. And from there, it's purely a matter of, is it going to be a universal macro that everyone has access to, or is it going to be specific to certain characters, classes, or otherwise? And that is how you build a macro when you're building a world here on Hedron.